So one of the big themes that she tackles over here through the patients that she meets, and are really four ultimate concerns that she speaks of, which are death, isolation, freedom, and meaninglessness. So death, isolation, freedom, and meaninglessness. And I think we can all relate to all four of them, I would imagine. And she says death, of course, is an instinctive fear that we often repress, but that tends to increase as we get older. And how do you defend against this fear? Sometimes we refuse to grow up. Sometimes we self-sabotage. And I can resonate with this process of self-sabotaging, not so much with respect to death. I haven't been in a position where I've had to face my death, but I have seen my mother face it when she had a cancer. And I've seen how difficult it can be to face one's death. I saw her struggle with it. I saw her work with it in whatever way she could, and I can see how this fear can be quite crippling. It can prevent you from seeing that, hey, death is here, and I need to accept that it's here, and that's a hard one to do. It's a hard one to do, and I saw my mother struggle with that through her last few days of her life, and she had a very strong will to live and a desire to live, and she didn't want to hear that, that she may die. She, of course, recognized it. I think, given the kind of care that was being given, and given what people were talking around her, I think she sensed that she was not going to be cured this time around and to come out of the hospital. And yet that was a big fear for her to work through, and it's a hard one. She also speaks of the second concern, and which is that of freedom, and all the existential difficulties that freedom poses for us. On the surface, it's almost laughable how much freedom I have. It's true, isn't it? Most of us, if you're watching a video like this, you have a fairly free life, I'm sure. You're not struggling with your essential rights being constrained in your life, as many other people in different, very difficult parts of the world do, right? You have freedom in so many different ways that many other people in the world don't. But there's also the reality that as people get older, they face more limitations. It becomes harder to change careers, or to move to a different city, or marry a different person. Their lives are more defined, and sometimes they crave the freedom of youth. And she says that's what I'm doing here in therapy, trying to free myself emotionally again. And she says that in a way, the midlife crisis may be more than about opening up than shutting down, an expansion rather than a constriction, a rebirth rather than a death.